Hello, my name is Grace Christopher. I am an African fashion designer based in Dallas, Texas. I also sell beautiful African prints of all kinds, and the goal of my small business is to get African prints out on the streets of the United States, on every corner, by everyone. So to get that goal achieved, I have a YouTube page where I do videos and tutorials on little easy projects you could do to incorporate African prints in your everyday wear. So what we're doing today is we're going to do this. This is actually a bonnet head wrap. So this is a very beautiful, easy to make and useful product. Very versatile. You could use the bonnet at night and make it into a head wrap during the day. It's very useful for people with alopecia or any kind of hair loss. It is also good for people with slippery hair who have issues, keeping head wraps on, because this has an elastic band that can stay on your head. And then it is also beneficial for people who love head wraps but do not actually know how to tie them when they are just a long piece of fabric. So with this, it is easier to turn into a head wrap. It is versatile, it is useful. Even on bad hair days, you could just make this into a head wrap and you're good to go. So today's tutorial is on how to make this beautiful bonnet head wrap. And let me quickly show you how it looks. This is just a strap, and this is the bonnet you could use at night. I made my strap detachable so you could do that and be able to take the straps off and use it at night and all of that good stuff. So thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for joining my page. Thank you for being here. I hope you get it done. I love to see what you create. To make the bonnet head wrap, I'm using 1 yard of African prints, 3/4 yard of satin lining, and the elastic. So I'm folding my fabric on the long side, the 45-inch width side of the fabric, and I'm trying to cut out the straps first in order to make the best use of my yard. You could cut out your bonnet piece first, but it is possible the rest of the fabric will be wasted. So I don't like to do that because I know how precious these fabrics are. So I'm cutting out my straps first. My straps measure 6 inches by 45. So I'm cutting 2 out, and that was why I measured 6 out from the beginning. So we're going to get our straps out and by the side before we go on to make the circle for our bonnet. So now I'm folding the rest of the fabric to make a circle. This is going to be 12 inches on this side, and we're going to fold it again after pressing it to make sure it is nice and flat. And then you fold it in again 12 inches too, because we're trying to create a circle with 4 layers of fabric looking like that. So you want to measure from the tip right there. I usually like to start from the ends to make sure I have exactly what I need before we go round. So that looks about 12, and I'm going round, measuring 12 all the way across the arc. So you join your dots together. That gives you a quarter circle, you see right there. Because we have 4 layers of fabric, when we cut it out, we're going to have a full circle. And of course, you can keep the rest of the fabric for some other project. So there we have a big circle for our bonnet. I'm going to put it aside and get ready to prepare my satin fabric, because we still need to cut out exactly what we got from the African print. I like to press it to make sure it stays flat and nice, because I want to use the one we cut out earlier as a pattern for this one, so we don't have to do all the measuring all over again. So you want to press it and make sure it is nice and flat. It's not going to be perfect because it's a different texture fabric, but you want it to be as close as possible. That's why we need to press it. Using my clips to hold it together in place, and then cut it out like so. Of course, I'm trying to save the rest of the fabric for some other project. So we have our pieces for the bonnet. We're going to join the two of them together, the good sides of the fabric together. We're basically lining the African print with the satin, so our hair rests on the satin side of the fabric. Iron it, make sure it's nice and flat, and then I'm using my clips to hold them both in place. Satin tends to be really slippery, so you want to be sure it is in the right spot. And now I'm going to go on to sew around the circle. You have to leave some space to turn, about 4 inches, but here I am sewing all around the circle until you get to the same spot, and leave around 4 to 5 inches to be able to turn the fabric. So the next thing you do is clip the edges so that you can have a clean finish when you do turn it. I'm using my scissors to just clip the edges. Make sure you don't cut into your seam, and then you can turn it. I'm using my hand to pull out the edges as much as possible, so it's easier to iron them all out. And then of course you're going to use the iron to finish off the edges and make sure everything comes out and gives us as close as perfect it could be to a circle. There we have everything all pressed and looking good. I want to always mark my opening so that I am able to quickly find it, because if you do a good enough job of pressing it, it will be difficult to know where the opening is. So I always like to mark it so I don't have to waste all of the time looking for it when eventually it's time to close it up. So I'm going to sew all around the circle again. I went about an inch and a half away from the edge to make room for my elastic. You go all the way around this time. You can sew all the way. You don't even have to keep any opening. If you were making a bonnet that needed some flare on the edges, then you will have to do an opening. But here I could just close everything up because I wasn't trying to make any flare. Take a measurement of your head circumference in order to determine the length of your elastic. Typically, it is whatever you get as your head measurement minus 2. But I don't like my elastics to be tight, so I use exactly my head measurement. With the sewing allowance, it's going to rest just right. So it depends on how tight or loose you want it to be. But the formula is your head circumference minus 2. I'm cutting out my elastic. And you can use your safety pin to run your elastic through the casing that we just made. So in the elastic goes all the way. You want to make sure you secure the other end of your elastic with a pin so you don't lose it inside of the casing. And then you continue all the way till it comes out. After that, you want to join both edges of the elastic and sew on that. I do a straight stitch about 4 to 5 times, back stitch about 4 to 5 times, and then we feed the elastic back into the tube and close up the opening. That's how it's gonna look. So we have our bonnet ready. If all you wanted to make was a bonnet, you're good to go. But here we're trying to make a bonnet head wrap. So we're going to the straps. You want to join both straps together, good side of course, together, and just run a straight stitch. I joined it already, and you use your iron to press it. Press on your seam and then press both straps. Fold them together because we want a long strap of about 2.5 inches, and that was why we cut out 6 inches in the beginning. Once you're done with that, you now need to go in and sew. Leave an edge in the middle or so you could turn it nicely. After sewing it, you want to clip the edges so that you can pull them out better, and then turn your fabric. So you could, what I do is I first get it going by tucking it in as much as I can, and then you use this is a bodkin. You could use this, or you could just use a pencil. Anyone works. So basically you feed it in there and push your pencil through till you get to your opening. Pull it out and repeat the same step on the other side of the tube. Make sure you pull out your pencil before the fabric so you don't lose your pencil. So iron on the seam and then you iron it properly. I like to always mark it so I don't have to look for stuff. I don't like to waste my time. So I mark it so I can remember where the opening was. And then you want to pull out the edges nicely and iron that flat the way it should be. After that, we're going to go onto the sewing machine and close up the opening we had over there. So now we have our bonnet and the strap. You have some options here. You could decide to keep this separate and be able to use your bonnet at night to sleep, and during the day you could use it as a head wrap, in which case all you need to do is put a snap-on button on this strap and on the back of your head wrap, or you could also use Velcro. But if you want to make it permanent and put them together once and for all, if you don't plan to use it as a bonnet at all, then you could just go in and stitch it at the back. So you want to make sure your strap overlaps on the elastic just a little bit. You don't want it to go in too much because you want to hide the elastic. So you cover it a little bit and sew just up to the elastic. Do not sew through the elastic. So you will be able to still extend your elastic to to cover your head. So that's how it goes. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use a safety pin and attach it so that I show you how it looks when it is styled. Okay, so this is how it should look when you have either your stitch or your velcro or your snap buttons on here. It should overlap your elastic, like I said. So I'm going to style it and show you how it looks. For people who struggle with tying head wraps, who love it but do not know how to go about it, this is a quick and easy way you can tie your head wraps. So just put it on like a bonnet, and you want to keep your straps aligned like that. I can't really see my back, but I'm hoping it's aligned, and make sure it covers up the elastic like that. So just do that, make a twist like that. I'm trying to keep my hair out, okay? If I was wearing a bonnet, of course I'll show it all in. It's your choice, but I like my head wrap with my locks out. So you want to do that and tie it. Shove the remaining parts of your straps into any pocket you can find, and then you can tuck in the excess part of the bonnet into your strap, or you leave it the way it is. All depends on you. Okay, so that's basically how it looks. So you have a head wrap going. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for joining my page. Thank you for being here.